All right, guys, welcome back to another video. I'm coming to you from a different kind of video today. As you guys can see, I'm actually filming this on my MacBook here. Obviously, I'm wearing AirPod Maxes just for the sake of this video because it was easier to record on the Mac that I had in front of me. Because I just want to talk to you guys about, of course, the announcement of the Vision Pro, Apple's AR/VR headset. I wanted to walk you through what we found out today, what my opinions are on it, and what this does for the future of the products that we all know and love already, like the future Quest 3, the Quest 2 that we all have today, and some of the other VR headsets coming out in the future. So let me go ahead and sit down at the table and let's talk about all this. Let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
All right, guys. So I wanted to do a more personalized, video with you guys here, just kind of naturally talking about this with you guys on what the Vision Pro actually was here. So I'm showing you the website here because we're going to go through and talk about everything we see here with the Vision Pro. First thing we're going to talk about is the price. This thing is $34.99. You heard that correctly. $3,499. Obviously, not a mainstream price point and not anything that most people are going to be able to afford. I'm going to have to sell like 6 kidneys to be able to afford this thing, or maybe sell a lot of vacations to you guys if you guys want to support me, since that's free to you guys if you guys want to do that on the channel, or keep liking and subscribing this video, to get those, the algorithm on YouTube working. But man, that's a lot of money. Obviously, I want it for the channel to review and all that kind of stuff, but that is a lot of money, and it's definitely not a mainstream device. But of course, it is generation one. That's something we got to remember. When the first iPhone came out, the iPhone 1, it came out at like $600 or $700, and every phone back then was free. Nobody was charging for phones back then. We all got a free phone just for signing up with our plan. Apple was the one that came in and was like, "Hey, why don't you pay us $600 or $700 for an iPhone?" And here we are today. So, not saying that that's exactly the what it's going to compare to, but just to give you an idea, Gen One products sometimes are more expensive, and we'll see how it progresses. Obviously, I assume that the fact that Pro is in the name, that we're going to be seeing other iterations of this that are going to be more consumer friendly in price, where this is the high end version of it, and that's what they started out with, and then they're going to be going down to other versions as time moves on, which is going to be really interesting. But that's the price. It's ridiculous. But is the tech worth it? Well, that's what we're going to talk about here today. So, first of all, what is this thing? Vision Pro, as you can see here, this girl's wearing it. It is Apple's mixed reality headset, AR headset, AR/VR, and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go through. But you can see this is what the headset design here looks like. And you can see, welcome to the era of spatial computing. So that is what Apple is calling this. They're not calling this, VR. They're not calling this mixed reality. They're calling this spatial computing. And basically, what you see here is the guy putting it on, and basically, he's greeted by the interface here that's going to be operating on here, which is going to be called Vision OS. And you can see here that you'll have your apps right in front of you, and it's all going to be handled with just hand tracking. So for the majority of things that you're going to be doing on here, so there's no controllers that are going to be included in the box or anything like that. You're literally going to be using your hands. You're going to flick up your fingers to navigate up and down. You're going to just pinch to actually select something. Your eyes, it has, it's tracking your eyes, so you're just going to be using the interface by looking at what you want to look at. So that is basically what they're touting here. And it says Apple Vision Pro seamlessly blends digital content with your physical space. So as you can see here, what this lady's doing, picture, I don't know how many of you guys used it. I've used it, obviously, Unreal or X-Real, which is what they're called now, the AR glasses that you put on, and you have like a floating window in front of you and you're watching TV. This is kind of what I'm picturing this doing it, but just kind of obviously taking it to the next level, where you can actually manipulate different screens around you and stuff like that. And obviously it's tied to the iPhone ecosystem or to the iOS ecosystem. And that's kind of, I think, what the biggest selling point is of this thing. And even as me, a lot of people always come up to me and they're like, "How are you such a tech person and you're not on Android?" And I get that question so many times because I fit the perfect equivalent of somebody who would want to be on Android. But the problem is that the ecosystem that Apple has developed is just really, really convenient and really fun to use, and it's not anything Android can touch. As somebody who creates content for YouTube, it's awesome to be able to have my Mac in front of me, have my iPad for media consumption and for gaming, have my Mac when I want to edit and stuff like that. Have these AirPods, Apple AirPod Maxes that not only sound fantastic, but easily integrate between, hey, I'm connected on the Mac, boom, they're connected. I turn this Mac off and I go to the iPad, boom, it says it's connected to my AirPod Max. I go to the phone because I turned my iPad off, boom, that's disconnected. hey, I'm on the, I'm answering messages on my phone and I want to put my phone down and now I'm on the Mac, boom, the message pops up on iMessage and I can chat right there. FaceTime calls go from back and forth where I'm taking a FaceTime call on the iPhone, seamlessly integrates to here. It's all that things that make using One OS awesome and what makes Apple awesome in my opinion. Not even to mention the Apple Watch that integrates into everyone's lives, taking track of your health and your fitness and all that kind of stuff. And the games and stuff like that usually there's just a lot of apps and stuff like that that are really well optimized, especially for the iPad where Android tablets don't have that luxury to have all their apps designed for a tablet. There's a lot of things that can get into on why I set it on the iPhone, but that's essentially what it is. It's the ecosystem, and this is just going to be a whole other idea here where it's going to be the ecosystem that's going to sell this thing. You already have an iPhone, you already have an iPad and a Mac. This thing is going to just be another product right next to that line that everything is going to seamlessly integrate to, which I think is their biggest selling point. So you can see here, like I said, she has a bunch of tabs open, she has Safari open and all that kind of stuff going through. And what's obviously crazy about this device is the display. The display on this thing is going to be 4K resolution per eye, or even higher than 4K. They're touting it's going to look better than a 4K TV, according to Apple. Obviously, no one has. Most people haven't gone hands on with this yet, but that's what they're touting. That it's going to look better than a 4K TV per eye. So obviously, it's touting some crazy resolution, some crazy specs. We don't know what the FOV is yet or anything like that, but they are touting some crazy numbers as far as the hardware goes. And if it's as good as they say it is, it's definitely going to be an amazing display that most people have never seen before in a caliber of device. It says now you navigate simply by using your eyes, hands, and voice. That's what we talked about. You can see she's just doing the gesture there to navigate up and down to select something. You just look with your eyes and it knows what you're looking at to actually select it. And that's basically what we're going to be doing here. It says so you can do things you love in ways never possible before. So obviously one of the best things about one of my favorite use cases, if I end up getting this device, if I can somehow sell kidneys for it, or God knows what I'm going to do. But if I get this for you guys so I can show it up on the channel and show you guys everything about this, this is my main use case for this right now. It's going to be a device that is going to be my moving watching experience. I've talked about devices already that I love using. I love using my X-Real device. I have these glasses. You put them on, they just look like a pair of glasses. It has 42. It has really nice OLEDs. The resolution's really good. It's OLED displays and all that kind of stuff, and it's awesome. You tout it to your phone, but you have to connect it to your phone or stuff like that. And sometimes you have to use third-party devices to get them to work with your phone. But it still is amazing to be able to have these floating windows right in front of you and watch it in like a giant 100-inch screen. That's exactly what these things are going to do. But now take it to the effect that you have the Apple ecosystem in there, and you have something in here that you're looking at a 100-inch screen or a 120-inch screen that you can manipulate, and you can be in 3D environments like it says here. Sometimes you'll be watching a show that maybe it's a space show and you're in outer space. Think about watching whatever it is that you're watching, a sporting event or something like that, and everything is kind of like you're in an NBA arena. Obviously, all that stuff is limitless, as you guys are seeing here. So, and then you have those fantastic displays that they're touting, where it's going to be like you're watching a better 4K, better than your 4K TV at home, but a portable device that you can take anywhere on an airplane, on a car ride, to a friend's house, whatever the case may be. And you're going to be able to do this with people, and you're going to have the Apple ecosystem. If you go to iMessage, it's going to pop up on here. If you get a message, you can text someone really quickly without leaving the interface. And because it's AR, if somebody comes into the room, you could still talk to them. You could still do all of that stuff because you're going to see them on the display. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But it's obviously all of that. You can just watch the film here. You can go ahead and take a closer look here. You can see a singular piece of three-dimensional, so it's just showing you the actual thing. You can see this thing has all the sensors and stuff like that that it works with. It has the audio strap here on the side, so it does have built-in audio. It has this really cool, unique headband that's really looks like it's really cushiony, and it has a lot of stretchability. And then these are the displays we talked about here. A custom pair of displays. They also announced a custom pair of optics that you can get if you wear glasses like me that are going to work with it. Really, really interesting to see how all that looks. I really do like the design of the headset as well. It says it's going to conform to your head perfectly, so there's not going to be any light coming from the outside or anything like that. And then it has a digital crown, and the digital crown is cool because it actually goes from AR to a more VR experience, where if you're in the AR mode, obviously you can see everything around you in the world in front of you that these objects is just overlaid on top of, like we've been talking about. But if you hit the crown, you can make everything else disappear and then just have a more VR experience where you have a video screen in front of you and kind of watch it and stuff like that. So really cool stuff there. for your desktop and your apps will follow. So this is where obviously the productivity and stuff that they're talking about gets into it, because all the apps that you use on the iPhone and iPad already should be working on here, where you're going to be able to have your messages on the right, and you can put the Safari in the middle, maybe a YouTube video on the left and stuff like that, and have like 3 different screens that you could work on, all this other kind of stuff that they're touting on here. One thing you got to mention, you can see that giant cord there on that guy's head. This does have, there's no built-in battery. You actually have to plug it into a battery that you put in your pocket, which is an interesting decision, but I guess they wanted to leave the, make the headset as lightweight as possible. But this is definitely going to be something you're going to be plugging in more than not, in my opinion. Think about like when you plug in, you plug in your Xbox, your PlayStation and stuff like that. You're plugging in your computer and stuff like that. This is going to be more of a desktop experience where you're sitting down, you're probably plugged in a lot more than not, but you can use the battery pack that you can plug into it as well for up to 2 hours of battery life. But if you want to watch a movie, you're probably going to have to be plugged in to watch some of these movies that are more than 2 hours long. Like it says here, apps live in your space, so you can see all the apps on here that you know and love that we talked about. They're going to be in there. It's going to have its own app store that they talked about, so good developers are getting their hands onto it now. Well, obviously, there's not a lot of use cases for it yet other than what Apple showed us, but it's going to be interesting to see what developers come up with now that this is getting into their hands as of today. When it was announced at the developer conference, they got an early hands-on preview to some of the developers that already did some of this stuff. Like they did a Cosmos thing where they showed them the thing that they looked up into there, and you can see like the solar system and all that kind of stuff, and the stars and all that kind of stuff. So that will be interesting. We'll see how, like I said, the developers are going to be using that. This is them showing it off on an airplane where she's looking at it, and then boom, she turns everything in the plane by using that digital crown, and now she's in like a VR kind of space watching that video that I talked about. So that's going to be cool. And then obviously, like I said here, you could bring 3D object to life. So you can sometimes get a 3D object in an iMessage and pull it from your iMessage and put it in there, and you can see a 3D representation of it. So that's obviously interesting to see how that works. You can bring your wireless Mac. So if I'm using my Mac here and I want to put the display in front of me, I can put my headset on and still use the keyboard on the Mac and all that stuff because I can see it clearly according to them. Like I said, with those displays and anything like that, it's apparently like nothing we've ever seen before. It's going to be crystal clear, and you're going to be able to use your keyboard, your mouse, and all that kind of stuff, but have the ability to have like multiple displays in front of you, where your Mac may only be one single display. Maybe you can have your single display on here, but then have another display showing YouTube, another display showing your messages, another display showing whatever app, and kind of have productivity that way if you only have one Mac, especially if you're a person who, goes to work in different places at a hotel room and stuff like that. I feel like having something like this paired with your Mac is going to be an awesome display device because you can put that on and have a bunch of different, options with you. There's a keyboard and mouse. You can just take your Magic Keyboard or your Magic Trackpad with you if you want. If you don't have a MacBook, that will work with it. They showed some of the apps that can kind of, instead of being in the AR experience, will take over everything, like this mindfulness session that they showed you that will kind of just live all over there. So we'll see how that works out for them. And again, we're back to the ultimate home theater thing. This is going to be fantastic for home theater and for entertainment. That's what I'm most excited to see. 100 feet wide is what you can go to in a personal home theater. They already advertise that you can be in a cinema environment, so you don't have to overlay it over your house or over whatever room you're in. If you want to be completely secluded, hit that digital crown, and you'll be in a cinema environment or other environments that they're going to show off and stuff like that. You can see they have immersive videos on this thing. They're touting 180-degree 3D 8K recording, so you'll see like a 180 video on it. And what's really cool is this thing has some cameras built into the front of it, and this is what's really exciting to me. 3D, obviously I'm a huge fan of 3D, you guys know this. We're going to be able to take 3D, pictures and videos right with us. So you're going to use the headset. It's going to take great 3D videos and great 3D pictures from what they're saying right in front of you, and then you're going to be able to play it back on the headset, and that's going to be fantastic. Now, of course, you need to have the headset on, but imagine a day where they add the technology of recording 3D videos and 3D pictures onto the next iPhone, which I hope that they do, and then you can watch it on this headset in full glory when you do it. But obviously, as a huge 3D person, it's going to be awesome to be able to take 3D videos and pictures, because I think 3D pictures and videos are way better than taking a regular old 2D picture, in my opinion. So that's going to be awesome. That's going to be included. And they talked about 3D movies as well, something that I almost forgot about. Another reason why I'm super excited about this is because I'm loving 3D, and they actually had Avatar on stage, Avatar Way of the Water, that you can actually watch in 3D. And I was like, does that mean they're going to start offering 3D movies? They had Disney and Bob Iger on stage when they were doing that. Are they going to actually offer 3D movies again on the digital app store, on iTunes and stuff like that? That would be fantastic if we got like Disney movies and some of the other, people out there to finally put 3D movies in streaming services and put in devices like this. It's going to look fantastic on this device, from what I can imagine. Probably the best 3D experience you can have in any device, because I already do that on the Quest 2. And let me tell you, it's fantastic on the Quest 2 and the Quest Pro. I have the big screen beyond pre-ordered, and that's going to elevate that even more so. And I can't wait to get my hands on that device to review on this channel. But it's going to be fantastic for 3D viewing, even more so than anything we're going to see here today, at least according to what they're saying. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's talking about like the only gaming thing that you could really do with this, from what the sounds of it, at least right now, is that you can use a controller like a PlayStation 5 controller or something, sync it up to it, and you can have a giant 2D screen and play Apple Arcade games on it. That's what they touted that you can actually do with this thing right now for gaming. We'll see if the developers can actually do games on here. There's obviously no controller support when it comes to actually motion control. So I don't know how that's going to work. They're going to have to use only hand-based games. So that's going to limit a lot of games unless if something happens that we don't know about. Developers get crazy creative. But it's definitely not replacing your Oculus Quest 2 or your gaming headsets for VR anytime soon with what we know so far about this thing. That's for sure. Again, with the photos and videos, this is them showing the 3D I was talking about, where you can actually take a 3D video and then watch it right on the headset. Can't wait to see what that looks like. I hope the 3D cameras and stuff like that are as good as what they're touting, and then your memories can come alive. It's Apple's first 3D camera where you can actually capture, spatial audio and stuff like that with the video. So this is looking awesome. You use that top button to record, and that's looking fantastic. When you capture it, like right there, they're capturing it right there with the button. That looks awesome, and it's very going to have incredible depth. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if everything that they're touting for this headset is as good as what it says on paper. Over here, we got FaceTime calls. Basically, what they're touting is that let's say you have the headset on, you're packing and stuff like that. You get a FaceTime call. Boom, you can pop it up right in front of you, multiple people, show a presentation or stuff like that. That's what you'll have on here. About learning, let's learn about making connections. FaceTime call, each participant shows up in your space. You'll have spatial audio, of course, just like you will with the movies. Your digital persona. This is really cool as well. You're going to have your digital avatar, because what happens when you make a FaceTime call? Obviously, there's no camera looking at you on this thing. So what is it going to do? Well, what it's going to do is when you first pop this thing on, it's going to take a digital representation of you in avatar form and do it like you see it right there. And then that's going to be a digital persona that's going to portray on a FaceTime call, and it's going to mimic your mouth and eyes when you move it and stuff. So really, really interesting stuff. And then here you can share apps with other people and use FaceTime call with SharePlay. So we all know SharePlay on FaceTime calls. You can watch movies together and stuff like that. You can use SharePlay on whatever app supported and kind of watch things together as well. So then it just talks about the design on here that we already saw, the power, the 2 hours that I talked about, the sound that they're having with spatial audio. That should sound really good on here. Eyesight is another big feature on here that we got to talk about here. Basically, what happens is that with all the security, you guys know Apple's big on security, keeping all your information private. What's going to happen is that that's going to be the new method of, think about Face ID. It's going to be like eyesight, where it looks at your pupils inside, and everyone has like a different set of eyes in there. And it's going to, I don't know any other way to explain this correctly, but it's basically going to look at your eyes, and everyone has a different set of, the way their eyes are shaped and everything in there. So it's going to take that, and that's how it's going to unlock your device for Apple Pay and unlocking your device and all that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. So everyone can feel secure. And as you can see, this is a good video or picture to show you. You guys see her eyes are in front of this thing. Has a really futuristic look. Again, I love the headset design. But what it's going to basically do is, let's say I'm watching something in AR or VR or in VR mode, and I have everything crowned off, and someone steps into my room. Basically, what happens is the person comes into view, and if I look at them, the person will see my eyes just like that. It will be a fake representation of my eyes with the digital avatar that we just talked about, but it will actually be moving and looking at them based on where I'm looking at them. So it makes them feel like I'm actually connected to them. I mean, everyone always says when you put on a headset, you feel disconnected from the world. And this is what they're doing to bridge the gap. So when you're looking at someone's eyes, you can actually see, what they're looking at. So I think that's really cool. I think that's definitely a step in the right direction to feel it more progression and natural to be able to wear these things all day like they want us to. That's really cool. And I can't wait to see how that works, in person and stuff like that. Let's see. Anything else about the design that we didn't talk about? We got the light seal that they talked about, the headset, the headband that we talked about, the optic lenses. Those are the ones, if you wear glasses, that they're talking about, that are going to be customized to go right in there. And then, of course, the extra battery that you're going to be carrying around if you want to use this without having it plugged in. And then again, they talk about Apple's first spatial operating system here. You got the apps here. You got memories. It talks about all the apps. And again, all the apps that you're used to using on your iPhone and iPad should seamlessly integrate onto here. So that's going to be really interesting to kind of have on here, and they're going to expand around your environment. You can navigate the OS by looking with just your eyes, as you guys can see that we talked about earlier. You can tap. Simply look at the microphone button in the search field to start speaking. So you could just look at it with your eyes. Has Siri integrated into it like you would expect it to, and accessibility options that you guys are expect to see on all the Apple products already. So this is going to be really interesting. Again, there it is, more pixels than a 4K TV for each eye. 23 million pixels, guys, is what they're touting, and it is a micro OLED display, so it's going to have really rich colors and really good blacks. And I can't wait to test this out. As soon as they have this in an Apple store, I'm definitely going to try it out. Yeah, hopefully they have it before it actually releases. In early 2024 is when this thing is actually going to come out, according to them. So hopefully they have it in the stores beforehand so we can try this out because I'd love to. And there's all the arrays that they have, the 3D cameras, the cameras themselves, the LiDAR sensor, all the stuff that you need is going to be on there. It has the M2 chip and the R1 chip. M2 is going to handle all the processing on board. R1 is going to be handling all the sensors from all the stuff you just saw there in front. So that's going to be really interesting as well. Got the LiDAR sensor, the true depth camera, the thermal system to keep it cool, of course, the infrared flood illuminators. A lot of technology packed into this. And then obviously it talks about the privacy that we talked about before, an all new platform, and that's pretty much it. But I mean, there's a lot of technology packed into this thing for sure. And let's go ahead and make myself a little bit bigger here. There's definitely a lot of technology packed in here for sure, guys, and that's pretty obvious what they have going on here. But there are a couple of things that I was disappointed in. At least, obviously, I know this is a Gen 1 device, but I didn't see a lot of VR stuff. I think Meta and everyone else is probably in a really safe place right now because this is not being touted as being like a VR device that we all thought it was. There's no controllers, there's no motion control, so gaming is going to be severely limited to just having a 2D screen or some hand-based apps that we're going to have like Meta has done on theirs. But you're not going to get like the immersive VR games that we get today unless it's something comes out that lets you use motion controllers in some capacity. But as of right now, that's not something we know of. So that was disappointing because I thought they're blending VR and AR, which is great. That's what I wanted. I wanted AR when I want it, where I can see things in my home and stuff like that when I want to. But then I want to hit the digital crown and go away and watch a movie, and everything is a 3D environment to make you more immersed into that movie. That's great. That's exactly what I want. But give me the games as well that take everything away out of my environment. Let me be immersed into that game or immersed into that content. And I don't know what kind of experiences that developers are going to come out with, but we're going to have to see. But without those controllers, I think a lot of it is going to be left on the table. We'll have to see how that progresses. The second thing I'm disappointed on, but again, knowing that this is a first generation device, it's not a surprise, is when I think about AR. When I put on glasses, what I want at least is when I come home, I have my glasses sitting on the counter. I put them up, put them on my head, and everything that I already digitalized and customized in my home is already there. For example, if I walk into my living room and I had a digital frame and I look to the right, there's my digital frame. It's not there in real life, but in AR with these glasses on, it's actually there. And then I keep moving and it's around the house, and hey, look, I put a TV up on there. I put another picture over here in this room. And you're kind of just walking around your house, and AR objects are just layered all over your house that you think are there, but they're not actually there if you take your glasses off. That's obviously what the future is, and that's what I want. And this is obviously generation 1, and I'm sure that's what they're going to get to when it happens to be Gen 2 or Gen 3 or whatever the case may be. But that's what I would expect. But we'll see how that progresses and stuff like that when we continue to go forward. Right now, that's obviously not what they're doing. Basically, you can see it's a lot of 2D things in front of you. So it's a giant screen to watch movies. It's a bunch of different monitors so you can replace your Mac and stuff like, not replace it, but have your Mac and have a bunch of different screen setups so you can get a lot more workflow done. You can have a bunch of different apps open in 2D, but they're in front of you in spatial space. That's kind of what they're doing right now. We'll see how that progresses. We'll see what developers do with this, if that ends up being the only thing that they do with it, and we don't get more 3D experiences. But I can't wait to see, how this evolves and what the future looks like when we get AR a little bit more into that road that I thought it was going to be at when this thing came out. But regardless, I'm still really excited for what's here, to be honest. $3,500 is going to price out basically almost everyone, besides the crazy tech enthusiasts like we are here on YouTube trying to showcase this technology to you guys. And that's even if I can get one, because it's still even way too expensive for me. My channel's not that big, so I don't get thousands of dollars, rolling in to be able to buy products like this. So we'll have to see how that goes. Again, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and stuff like that to make these videos possible to come out with new technology for me to showcase it to you guys and give you honest reviews with no one sending me anything and all that kind of stuff. But We'll see how that progresses, but $3,500 is a lot of money. It's a Generation One product. Obviously, the pros in the name. I have a feeling that they're going to make other products that are going to be more consumer friendly and consumer prices by taking some of the features out. We'll see how that progresses, in the next coming years. But when this thing comes out in 2024, in the early of the year, what has me most excited is literally just watching media on it. How good is it actually going to look? I can't get excited about games because I don't see anything game related happening yet. I can't get excited about VR where it takes everything away from you because that doesn't seem like that's going to be a thing. So really, my biggest excitement about this thing is media consumption device at these crazy visuals that they're operating at. If I can see my house as if I'm looking through a window, like they're claiming pretty much, and then just have things overlaid, that's going to be ridiculous. And seeing videos and stuff like that are even better than what a 4K TV could deliver, and spatial sound that they're saying is going to rival surround sound and stuff. A lot of things being touted. Obviously, we'll have to see when this product comes out. But if that's exactly how it portrays, and I can use all my apps and stuff like that with it that are already on my iPhone, and things are, have the easy way of bouncing back and forth between my Mac, my iPhone, seeing messages, my calendar, and all that kind of stuff. It's going to make it a device that like you can pop up and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna edit." Put this headset on and kind of have your MacBook and a bunch of other things going on at the same time. So I know a lot of people out there. I've seen some videos already being like, "Who's this? Like, what's the point of this device? If I have a Mac in front of me already and I can edit a video in front of me, why would I take this device and put it on my head if I already had the Mac in front of me and a perfectly good display in front of me?" The way I see it is, and we'll see what happens in the future. At least right now, from what they're showing, I think the benefit of it in that situation is that you have multiple things going on at once. If I carry this Mac around and I go to a hotel or I go to my family's house or I go to a wherever I'm going to go on vacation and I have just this display and I put this headset on, now I can have the Mac display in front of me and it's going to look just as good as my Mac or better from what they're saying. And then I can have a bunch of different apps opened around me. That's awesome. And then I can hit the digital crown and be in a completely different 3D environment. That's obviously cool. Same thing with the media consumption. Why not just grab an iPad and watch it on an iPad device? Well, because this is going to have higher resolution. It's going to look a lot better according to them. You're going to be in 3D environments, or if you don't want to be in 3D environments, you can overlay it around you. And it's going to have a 100-inch screen portrayed right in front of you, or a 100-foot screen, excuse me, as big as you want it to be. So it looks like a giant cinema in your house. So there are use cases for it already that they're touting, but they have a long way to go to obviously convince a lot of people to spend, even if it wasn't 3,500, even if it was 1,000 or 1,500. They have a lot of convincing to do because just having 2D, just having media consumption gets me excited. But not a lot of people out there are going to go buy $1,000 or $2,000 or even a $3,000 device just to watch content on it. You need to have everything engrossed into it. And I think that's what they're leading into, and they're starting with Gen 1. And I can't wait to see what developers do with this thing with, having more games onto here and seeing if it actually takes shape into more of a VR device. But as of right now, from what we're seeing, this is definitely more of an AR device than it is a VR device with some AR sprinkled in. We'll see what developers do. I hope that more VR related content gets into the ecosystem and somehow we get some motion controllers that will work with this thing in the future somehow. I have no idea how. Otherwise, the way I foresee my future with the headsets I own and what I plan to own in the future, this is how I look at it. I'm going to have my Quest 3 or my Quest Pro, whatever the case may be. And that's going to be my Quest 3 is going to be my main gaming device that I use portably. Whether I take it to a friend's house or whatever, it's going to be my main portable device that I'm going to use for exclusives on that device. It's going to be awesome. Then I'll have a Quest Pro because I still have my Quest Pro, and I'm going to use that anytime I play social applications like VR Chat or Horizon Worlds or whatever the case may be, because it has the face tracking right now. They're the only ones that are doing the whole face tracking your lips and stuff like that with those apps. So I'll be using it for social apps, and that's what I use that for. Then I'm getting big screen Beyond. I'm selling my HTC Vive Pro 2. I'm getting rid of that, and I have the big screen Beyond pre-ordered. I can't wait to get my hands on that, and I'll be using that to basically, obviously, everything PCVR related. So that's going to be my new PCVR headset. Quest 3 will be strictly for portable gaming. And then my big screen VR will be when I want to get into more crazy games on the PC or watch big screen and, these crazy visuals that they're touting that I can't wait to see as well, because it's an OLED device and I can't wait to have the big screen and how comfortable it's going to be and how small that device is going to be. And then I have my PlayStation VR 2, and that will be where I play my exclusives or content that doesn't exist, on the Meta ecosystem that's on the PlayStation VR 2, or if they're on both, but PlayStation VR is better, whatever the case may be, I'll be jumping back and forth on all of those devices because I'm an enthusiast and I love all of these devices. I'm not going to say most people are going to own all these, but I will, and that's how it's going to be. And then I see my Apple device sitting alongside that. That's going to be a completely different device as of right now. It's not going to be something I'm going to pick up for gaming, at least from what we know so far, on how it's going to be, but it's going to be a device that I'm going to take with me and use in many ways. It's going to be a device that I take with me on planes, and I want to watch my videos on, because it's going to have the best display to do that by everything they're saying. So if I want to watch, I used to take my Quest 2 on a plane and watch VR movies, believe it or not, in 3D. Now, as a person who loves 3D, this is another option for me to take on a plane. If I want to be fully immersed, I put this headset on and I'm watching 3D movies, and I can take that to a family and friend's house and do the same thing. I can put this headset on if I want to edit or just be engrossed in a bunch of different apps if I want to sit at my desk and get some work done, whatever the case may be. There are some use cases, but it's going to take a lot more things, a lot more apps, and a lot more developers to get on board to really justify the $3,500 asking price. The tech seems like it's there if it's everything that they're saying, but now, of course, we need the apps, and we all know with Apple, the iPhone 1, it took some time, so we'll see how that progresses. We'll see what developers do. Apple, if you guys are listening, which probably won't be through this video, you guys did a good first showing, but please give us some more VR related centric things to do on this device as well. Make it the best of both worlds. We have a fantastic display. Let it use it for VR games. Let us, push the envelope there to get some VR games. I don't know if you want to support VR motion controllers from other platforms, or you want to make your own, or whatever the case may be. But let that happen, because we kind of want the best of both worlds. You guys have a fantastic hardware side. Let that stuff happen, because if not, like I said, Facebook and Meta and all that kind of stuff are kind of in a safe place right now, because they're not in the same category. Meta is very much VR. This is very much AR. I know Facebook and Meta are doing mixed reality and stuff, but this is still a much very different device than what the Quest is doing, and what other devices in the VR space are doing. So we'll see how it progresses. I hope that gives you a lot of good information of what I think so far, and we'll see if I end up getting one or not, if I sell a kidney or not, or whatever the case may be, or a couple of kidneys actually at least. But we'll see how that progresses. If you guys have any questions about anything you guys have seen in today's video, as always, leave it down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.